and welcome back to this update of the SAS Visual Studio Code extension. This time covering the update of 1.1 and 1.2. Let's jump into it. The first major update you can already see on screen is how the table viewer now looks like, and it's much easier to scroll. It's much faster, the columns are easier to separate from each other, and you can also resize the columns as you need them, which is super cool. Also, when it comes to tables, you can now go to the libraries pane. Let's make this a bit bigger. You can right-click any table and select download, and it will download it as a CSV file to your local machine, which is pretty handy when you analyze some data sets. Also new in this update is the ability to specify additional settings for both system options and AutoExec files on startup. For this, let's first take a look over at this example notebook linked down in the description, where all the new features have been listed and also an explanation how you can take a look at the SAS session option and AutoExec specification for yourself. Let's first go in here and run this with our default options that have been set by my administrator. Let's remove the ops statement from the proc print and run the cell. And as you can see, it will start to print all of the observations of SAS help cars. So we want to limit this just to give a taste of what the data looks like. So we say ops equals 10. And now we only get the first 10 operations. This is something that you could limit through an AutoExec file where you set the option ops to be equal to 10. So that by default, you will only ever interact with the first 10 observations of a dataset. Of course, there's many more system options, and you can also find a link to all of them in the description down below. Another one I want to highlight is the ability to set the page size, for example. So the default would be 60, as we can see in the log. And now let's take a look at how an AutoExec and system options can be specified. On your keyboard, hit Ctrl-Shift-P to get into the command prompt of Visual Studio Code. And here you can search for Preferences, Open User Settings, JSON. For me, it already shows up at the top, so I will select that. And here you are dropped into all the configurations that you have specified, not only with SAS, but in total. And you have to take a look for SAS.connection profiles. Here you will find all the different profiles that you have specified. And I have created a second one where we now have added the new SAS options and the AutoExec. Let's first take a look at how the options are specified. As you can see, there is an array of strings in here, and I say page size max. You don't have to specify the equal sign, just use a space in place of it. I will also be activating the full S timer and setting the ops to be equal to 10. So that's it for SAS options. On the AutoExec side, we also have an array, but in there, instead of strings, we have an object, or multiple objects in this case. We will be specifying first one of the type file, and there we can specify any SAS file on our local machine. So for me, it's an AutoExec sample.sas, and we will take a look at what's in there in a moment. But we will also take a look at the second type of AutoExec that you can specify, called line, where you can just put in SAS code in a string. So here we say put test and put testing. So we have 2 lines and 1 AutoExec file that will be run, changed after each other. And let's quickly take a look at that file. We have %let hello equals from the AutoExec, and then we put this hello macro variable. So from the execution order, we would first expect the %let and the %put with hello from the autoexec file to show up in the log, then test, and then testing. So let's take a look. We will switch the profile over to our YouTube profile. And as we can see, our SAS session is starting up for us. And we will take a look at the SAS log in the output down below. Taking a look, let's first look up here. You can see, of course, now we have full S-timer activated, so we get all of the information about the runtime behavior down below in our log. And you can also see that you get the initialization log now, which you didn't in the previous versions of the extension. And then we see the expected execution behavior. We see hello from the autoexec, we say test, and then testing. So that matches up pretty well. Let's look in our SAS notebook to see if the ops session system option that we set is actually working. So let's run this block. You can see we didn't specify an ops equal 10 here, but the output was still limited to just 10 rows. And let's also run the proc options page size. And here, last time we had 60, now we have 32,767. So that's the max value. And you can also see that we now have the full S-timer in the log. The final update is that the auto-completion now honors your writing style. Meaning, if we, for example, start typing proc sort, for example, and hit tab for auto-completion, because I wrote in lowercase, it auto-completed it also in lowercase. Now let's start writing in uppercase and hit, whoops, not Danish, but data. And now it's writing it in uppercase. So it matches your preferred typing style when helping you to code. I hope this update has been helpful for you, and I hope you enjoy these new features as much as I do. See you in the code.